It is another amazing day in paradise. My name is Carolyn Sanders, and most people call me Kai. I am standing at the corner of West Hargett Street and South West Street. Can I turn this around? I think so. In Raleigh. Does it turn around? No. Oh, so I guess I should turn around myself so you can see it. There we go. In Raleigh. Me and my son are out here today. And yesterday on my Instagram, I launched a campaign that's called, I'm sorry, I got to turn on the face of the sun so you get a better view. That's called B3C with me. And so last weekend on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we were out here. I was giving away gratitude journals and what I call the experience. And I had some interesting experiences. And when I wrote in my blog post yesterday, I said that I was going to write about it. And I never did. I was going to do a video about it, and I never did. And it was because I'm very passionate about the word compassion. And I had an experience with a lady who her and her husband stopped to talk to me about what I was doing. And as I was explaining what was going on, she was so hung up on the fact that, excuse me, Wiz, come on down here, please. She was so caught up on the fact that she wanted to make sure that I was bringing people to Christ. That's what she wanted to know. And I said, first of all, I was doing it through the gratitude journal. And she said she keeps a gratitude journal every morning. And then I told her, well, the whole program is built on the parable of the exceptional Samaritan. Most people call it the Good Samaritan from Luke 10. And that is really the story of how people make it back home by following the words that Jesus spoke in that parable describing the actions of the Samaritan. And I have written about this on my blog. I have done a video series on it on my YouTube channel, and it's something that's very, very important to me. And so as we're talking, I asked her about the gratitude journal and why she kept one, because you don't meet many people that do it, let alone are consistent with it. And she told me, her and her husband had no problems through the pandemic. They were both able to transition, smoothly, keep their jobs, had no financial challenges or anything else like that. That's cool, wonderful. So she had to be grateful for that. She lost her mother last year, has a daughter, a very young daughter, less than 2. And just having those experiences, she needed something to keep her grounded and make her recognize the good that was in her life despite the challenges she was facing. And so I was like, okay. And so when we were done conversing and stuff, she's like, it sounds great. I'm going to pray for you, blah, 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 blah. And she walked away. Her and her husband. I said, okay, thank you. And it wasn't until then. So then the next night, I'm out here with Wisdom. For those of you that don't know, he is my phenomenal 5, almost 6-year-old young black man. And we were, he has taken to meeting people. He has never met a stranger. So we are, on the corner of this property is Weaver Street Market. And there are tables, as you can see, there are tables. And so we saw Wisdom saw people that have been there the whole time, each day that we've been there. And so he stopped to talk to them. And I was like, okay, he's spending a lot of time with this particular couple, so let me go check them out. So I walk over and I introduce myself and say hello, and it was just an instant connection. Sweetest people. And I could see why Wisdom was there, because they just adored him and he adored them. The challenge then, as I began to talk to them about what was going on, the first thing they did was reach into their pockets, each of them, and they each handed me $1. Now, this is a couple who is currently unhoused, meaning they don't have a home that they're living in. She's working. They have a place to move in on November 1st, and they're struggling to come up with the $2,000 they need for the down payment. And I thought, and I was just like, wow, no. And they're like, no, you're trying to start something. And it sounds great. We want to support it. And I just thought, like, wow. And so there was a lot that transpired that night. like a whole lot that I could have never, ever imagined. And when all was said and done, when we got in and got some sleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and that's the time that God talks to me. And he began to relate to me the incidents that had transpired. And I was like, wow, I'm very passionate about compassion. And compassion, a lot of people don't understand the definition. The definition of compassion is one, to have a feeling or a sense, to have sorrow or empathy for someone who's going through somebody. But the second part is a strong desire to alleviate the suffering or to meet the need. And I thought about Christ and how he never left anybody by the wayside. If somebody needed healing, he healed them. Everybody was taken care of when he was in charge. And then God brought my mind back to the experience I had with the lady who was so concerned. Excuse me, I just want to keep an eye on my son, who was so concerned about whether or not I was going to be bringing people to Christ, who her only gift could be to pray for me, which is not a bad thing, but even admitting that her and her husband were both financially stable and well off, that she couldn't even leave alone. And this couple who are struggling to have a place of their own would reach into their pockets knowing that, not knowing how much, they didn't have what they needed saved, but that's $2 that could have gone towards their down payment for their rent. And being willing to just take that out of their pockets and give it. And that was when God was like, this is what you're looking for. Let me help you out a little bit more. You've been doing what I asked you to do. It's been great. We're going to take it up a notch. And so that's where B3C with me came from. It stands for the 3C stands for committed, compassionate, and crazy. And the crazy portion comes from a quote by Steve Jobs that ends with, a very famous quote that ends with, the people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who do. And I am that person. When I was pregnant with my son 5 years ago during the summer, I knew that he was coming to change the world. And so he was going to do it by first changing my world. And here we are, standing on a street corner, getting ready to talk to people. So the purpose of me sharing the story is not to beat down this lady by any stretch of the imagination. It was just to realize and to be more careful with not casting my pearl before swine. Not that she's swine, but just that everybody who gives you their attention, they don't necessarily need it, And so it was a lesson to me that what we really need in the world is more compassion, more people who are interested in the action aspect. And so here we are. So yesterday, which was Thursday, we came back out. We are out here a little bit earlier. Last week we were here in the evening into the night. We were here till almost 9 o'clock those 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So yesterday we were out here a little bit earlier. We were out here at about 2 o'clock maybe. Between 2 and 3 we were setting up. I would say we got here about 2:30. We were setting up until about 3. But what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to balance what I've been doing with the time I spend with my son, because I realized that we had been playing games. We have this little miniature Uno game, and we got a little Monopoly game, and we've been playing them, and it's been fun just seeing him grow and him use his strategies and tricks, as he calls them, and stuff like that. And we didn't get a chance to do that before we left, rushing out the door. And so I sat here on the corner. I'll show you where we are. That says the journey from poverty to prosperity begins within. Start here. And that has to do with the gratitude journals I was giving away. Anyway, we're sitting here. We have a little table. We have our 2 little chairs, if you can see them. And there was only one person that I spoke with yesterday. And that was only because she stayed around when we were, hey Wiz, we stayed around, look, we were sitting here playing the game. We had just finished a round and she stopped and to see what we were doing. And we were just playing the game. And I said, yes, that was Mac. And so a shout out to @WhatACrazyMac, who stopped by and spoke with us. And I told her what we were doing and what I was looking for, and she committed to following me on social media. And within 30 minutes, I got a message, which I can't find because I'm not that Instagram savvy. And so I can't actually find the message, which I will figure out how to do. But I can't find the message that she sent me. I did reply to it in that moment because I knew I would probably lose it. But just her commitment to and her compassion to what we were doing meant the world to me in that moment. And so she walked away because she was heading to work. And then we proceeded to play cards. So as we're playing, like, we're about to play our last game. I think we played like four rounds. It was 1-2, I won 2, by the way. He won the first 2 and he was on a roll. There was this gentleman that approached me, and I'll tell you, he was the nicest, most respectful gentleman. I have nothing of ill will to say to him or about him. He was exceptional, and he was doing a job. His uniform was as a public safety officer, and he came over and he said, there have been some complaints or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact word he used, but basically what he was asking me to do was he was asking me to move from the corner. And I was like, okay. And mind you, me and Wisdom are just sitting here playing Uno, where I haven't even talked to anybody except for Mac. And that was only because she stayed, and I asked her if she wanted to know more, and she said yes. I hadn't approached anybody about anything, to say anything about what we were doing. We're just sitting here playing, sitting in our chairs at our little table, playing Uno in the wind. And I said, excuse me? And he said, I have been asked to ask you to move. And if you could just move down a block, or even, it doesn't even have to be a block, just move across the street. And I said, well, tell me, who are you? And he said, well, I'm responsible for these 2 buildings here. The people in charge asked me to call, and called and asked me to say something. And I said, but I'm not on their property. I said, this is the public area and I'm allowed to be here. And he said, I told them that. And he said, they asked me to ask you, to move before they took it to a higher authority. And I said, okay. And at that point, I was wearing my mask, and I started getting emotional. Like I am now. He couldn't see that. But I sat there and I just said, okay, give me a minute to just let me think about this, because I know that down at the other corner they were doing construction and the sidewalks closed. And so it's really hard. It's not a place that I think I can set up at. I said, give me a minute to think about this. And God said, tell them to call the police. Tell them to get that higher authority. And so I said, I would rather them call whoever it is that they feel they need to call, because I've made my phone calls to find out if it's okay for me to be here. And as far as I know, it's okay for me to be here. And so if you would just ask them to go ahead and call whatever authority they feel they need to call, I would appreciate it. If I'm not supposed to be here, they can ask me to move. But if I am, I need to let them know that it's not okay to bully me. And so he was just like, okay. I can tell he was not expecting that. Because usually when people with money speak, everybody jumps to listen. But I'm on this compassion kick, right? So you're not showing me some compassion. I'm going to just have to ask you to figure out a way to do so. And so they called the police. And the police showed up. And it just tells you how good God is. Because with me, I have the notebook that I had kept a record of all the people that I had called to find out about soliciting and licensing and stuff like that, because we had been in Cary and had a solicitor's permit in Cary, and you just can't go into Cary and sell anything or stand anywhere, anything like that, without having a solicitor's permit. We got the police called on us so often that I would just call the police department, let them know where we were, so that if anybody did call, they could tell them that we're out there soliciting and we have a permit. And I did that on 2 or 3 occasions. And after I did that, whenever we were out there, I didn't have to call and they didn't call me. They already knew we were legit. But there's no such thing in Raleigh, and I called to find that out. And I had a list of the people that I talked to, because I made 8 or 9 phone calls that day. I talked to people in the county in Raleigh. I talked to people at the police department, and there was no information. You don't need a solicitor's permit. They used to have a business license. They don't need a business license. I called these numbers and I had them listed with the names of the people I was supposed to speak to. And when the police officer got here, I was hyped because I knew I was right. And I was just like, and I was still kind of upset because of the way that it came at me. People in power, they feel that they can just squash you if they feel like you are of no value to them. And I wasn't going down like that. I have a child that's with me. There is no way I'm going to put either one of us in a position to be in trouble with the police or anybody else. That's why when the police came, when we were in Cary, my solicitor's permit right here, I'm wearing it. Made some great friends, had some great conversations with the police while I was there. Because I was not letting anybody tell me what I could not do when I had done all the homework to do it right. And so when he showed up, I was like, hey, how you doing? Do you need my ID? He's like, what do I need your ID for? I'm like, I don't know. I figured that's just the way y'all do it. And he was just like, what do you have going on here? And I explained to him, I'm just talking to people about what I'm trying to put together. I said, and I'm giving things away. I said, I called about 3 Mondays ago. I called, and these are the people I spoke to. And I showed him my notebook, and I said, and these are the people I spoke to, and this is what they told me. And so I've been here I was here last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and so I came back to do it again. And he said, okay, if you wouldn't mind, he's like, the line is clearly marked. This is the area that is business, and this is the area that is public. And he clearly outlined that about 3 feet from the building was the business property, and from that, the sidewalk I could be on. It was public area. He's like, as long as you're not out here asking people for money, I can't ask you to leave. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not in violation of anything. He's like, I would just ask you to condense the space that you're in. And I said, okay. And the public safety officer, who was right there, he heard what was being said, and he said, I will let them know. He was so polite. I tell you, I have nothing against this young man. And so the officer went across the street with him and talked to him, and then he came back and he talked to me, and he said, I just want you to know that I work very closely, with one of the people you mentioned. I don't remember his name. I'm not going to throw his name out there because it's not okay. It's not a big deal to name drop. But I work very closely with this gentleman. And the fact that you had not only his name, but his phone number, it told me something. I said, I'm out here with my son. I can't afford to make any missteps. I'm not getting either one of us in trouble. And he said, he handed me his card. And he said, if you have any other problems, just let me know. And I just thought, we need more people who are compassionate. Anybody in this place could have come out and said, hey, what are you trying to do? And is if there any way we can help you? It could have changed my world. But instead, they're trying to push me away. Push us away. And so I'm back here today. And I'm going to be here until I accomplish what I've come to do. I just want to say that I'm grateful for God just preparing me. It hurt my heart though, because I could not get up and I couldn't keep talking. Like I just played with wisdom. He had story time. I just spent time with him. And I think I talked to one other person that day, but there were people that were coming through that we had talked to and we had met last week. And so I just connected with them and just was so grateful for those experiences of the people who were kind and compassionate and invested their time in conversation. And so I just stand here today to say, don't be discouraged. A different way is coming. And love is the answer. It's the key. Love Enterprises is the name of my business. L.U.V. It stands for Learn Your Value. When you know your value, nobody else can take that from you. No matter how hard they try, no matter how hard they want to smush you down and make you feel like you're not valuable, that you're in their space, that you're not making their property look good because you're there. And all I could think of, knowing how what my mission is to improve everything, create parenting solutions for all people to be able to heal inside and recognize their trauma and not behave as those people did. That's what the first thing I wanted to do is, whoever it is, let me get you some help. Wiz. Sorry, it's a big ladder truck. Wiz. Sorry, the big #1 ladder truck. Gotta pay respect. I know, I saw the #1. We gotta pay respect to the ladder trucks. And so we're out here today again, talking to people about the journey from poverty to prosperity. We're giving stuff away. We're looking for people who are 3C: committed, compassionate, and crazy. Who are round pegs and square holes, who defy rules, who do not conform to the status quo, who are not afraid to live in their own paradigms that work better for them than what the world says is required. Because there really are no requirements. There are over 7 billion people in the world, and things can be done 7 billion different ways and it not be wrong if it works for that person and it leads them to the life of their dreams, their best life. And so that's all I had to say. This is such a challenging experience for me because I really don't like getting on camera. And at the end of the day, I'm actually not going to be the one that's in charge of running this business because I just want to be a mom. But it's important for me to establish things to a point that when the people come in that are going to run it are comfortable with where it's at, that they can take it and cause it to flourish, and that will just be in the background watching it grow. As I spend time with my son traveling, we will travel and we will take this into different places, but also travel for education. I want to be a full-time homeschooling mom, but where we take education on the road, where education is a part of life and learning is a part of every day, every experience. Dude. So, and right now we sit here on this corner just talking to people, letting people know what we're out here doing. We're looking for funders, founders, and followers. Anybody who can help, it would make a huge difference in our world. And so connect with me. If you get this, please follow me. I have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and this is just an amazing journey we're on. That hurt my heart yesterday, but we're back again today because I will not let anybody hold me down from what God's called me to do. I don't work for the world. Oh, Wiz, look at the orange car. Excuse me. And that's exactly why I keep kind of going back and forth. You see that orange car? Go back and forth to my son because he's my priority. He's the greatest investment, and he's given me so many returns. But not only that, he gives the world so many returns. So with that, I just say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching it afterwards, I really don't know how this works. The sun is in my eye, so I can't really see how many people are watching. That's not really my thing. My thing is that there's a message that needs to be shared, and I'm out here sharing it. If you're in the Raleigh area, please come down and check us out because the journey from poverty to prosperity begins within. I'm still on that journey, but I can help others who are there. And this is a great place to start. Come be 3C with me. Committed, compassionate, and crazy. And if you've already got your own things going on, by all means, help me to help you be more 3C with what you got going on, because I know I can. That sounds crazy, but I know I can do it. And so with that, I just say it's another amazing day in paradise, y'all, and enjoy creating the amazing day that you still have left before you. And so far, I hope that you have enjoyed the amazing day that you've been creating thus far. Peace. Now, let me see how to end.